I just left a Frank Zappa documentary. Eat those words, or eat the words, eat your words, whatever. You're eating words, according to Frank Zappa. And this movie was, I missed like the first maybe 5 minutes of it because it started at 11. I got there like right at 11, and it started right at 11. And in line to get popcorn, I was behind a lady who was kind of slow with getting the money out and all that. It was like a sitcom. I was like, hey, let me see if I got an exact chance. Like, lady, come on. This art theater does not have many previews, if any at all. And I missed like the first 5 minutes of it. But it's fine. Frank Zappa, an interesting fellow, don't you know? A lot of people today really need to look up some of his interviews and stuff. Like, it's funny, he mentions in the documentary, because the documentary is based on, it's a little bit like Amy, and then it's based on footage already like, not sit down interviews with like people that he knew and stuff like that, and then telling the story and having a narrative and all that other stuff. They basically just kind of cobble together interviews, not even cobble, they piece together, not cobble, but they go beyond that. They piece together interviews in his life, based on different occurrences in his life. I think you're going to hear Valley Girl? Nah, you're not. They're going to mention it, but you're not going to hear it. And he mentions at various points in the movie how he's more known for, I need new glasses, how he's more known for his thoughts and his interviews and stuff than he is for his music, which he was very serious about. He was a composer. He did not only rock music, but he did classical music and different forms of music. He was very serious about it. So much so that he put up his own money to fund a concert of his, of some of his compositions, basically just for him. He invited people to listen, and they could pay a fee and all that other stuff, and he could still sell the records of it, but the concert was basically just for him. He was very serious about his music. Long career in music. They do mention the warning sticker trial, which if you haven't seen Parental Advisory, you should. It appeared, judging that with what I found out about it afterwards, and this movie, it seems to be, they all seem to jive together. Very interesting guy. I like his point of view. I like his ideas, his politics. Not necessarily his politics. He was a conservative. He considered himself a conservative. Even though he was not for Reagan or anything, like he was not Reagan's cheerleader, he called himself in the documentary a conservative and talked about ideology and talked about how any ideology that doesn't see the other side as human, that doesn't understand that there's more than one side to a picture, he can't get on board with. And boy, isn't that what I've been saying forever and a fucking day? Boy, oh boy, isn't that what a whole bunch of other people have been saying forever and a fucking day about anything? About whether you're on the right or the left, guess what? The truths, for the most part, and it's mundane, but guess what? Most of life's truths end up somewhere in the middle. That's where most of them are, right? Like, that's where, well, not most. Yeah, that's where a lot of them are. That's where a lot of the truths are, somewhere in the middle. It's not all black and white. And he was considered anti-establishment, even though he considered himself a conservative. He a couple times he mentions he's 40 years old. He at the time was 40 years old with 4 kids and a mortgage and a wife and all that. But he was considered, one of those dangerous out there musicians because he knew that, saying fuck isn't going to curve your spine, steal your soul, and keep the country from winning the war. He knew that, saying tits and ass wasn't going to kill you, wasn't going to burn you to hell. And he mentioned that many, many times. Despite being, despite being a conservative and what maybe you would consider a conservative, especially in 2016. And one of the songs was Republican Parade or Picnic or something like that. And it's funny because he considered himself a conservative. So it's one of those things where like he knew that it ain't all black and white. Like it ain't all, if you consider yourself a conservative, you don't have to, beat the drum for every Republican that comes out there. And if you consider yourself a liberal, you don't have to beat the drum for every Democrat that comes out there. That there are things in between. That no, putting stickers on music is fucking retarded. warning stickers on music for what? Who gives a shit? Like, what? Get the fuck out of here. It's like putting warning stickers on video. Like, what? Okay, and what victory is that? What did that do? What did that accomplish? Other than hike the sale of some records that were considered off limits, like by teenagers. They were the ones who were buying that shit. And by the way, no one gave a fuck. I have never in my life, ever in my life, when I was a kid, and I started going to the mall and buying CDs before I was 14, like maybe 12 years old by myself, maybe like 12 years old or so, 11 or 12, never have I ever been stopped from buying a fucking, what is this? What the fuck is this on here? Never have I ever stopped myself in the middle of a video. Yes, I have. But never have I ever been stopped from buying a CD or a ticket to a movie because I was under the age of 17 or there was a warning sticker on it or whatever. No one gave a fuck. And I'm surprised to hear that people give a fuck now. But what? And what did that ever do? It didn't. What? What did that ever do? Anyway, he knew that. And he's a real interesting cat. And it's one of those things where, like, seeing this documentary made me a little sad that he's not still around and talking and educating people on how to on not necessarily what to think, not even necessarily how to think, but just thinking for yourself, just being an individual and thinking for your goddamn self and not clinging to the establishment and not being, you know, not tying that umbilical cord of the establishment so fucking tight. Like, it's particularly when it comes to artistic endeavors, right? Because he considered himself an artist, and he was, and he absolutely was. And they played some of the songs that he had, and they were interesting. There was something I'm like, I may have to hear it in a different context or hear the whole thing, but it was interesting. It definitely made me want to go out and listen to some more Frank Zappa, and it especially made me want to go out and hear more of his interviews, which he might not, in the spirit of him, necessarily like, because it's like he considered himself a musician more than anything else, but his points of view were so interesting, and his mind worked so well, and he was such an interesting cat to listen to that I want to listen to him some more. I want to hear some more of what he has to say. I want to hear some more of his points of view. Not even necessarily musically. I just want to hear him talk about shit for a while. So I would implore you to do that. I would implore you to go find some more of his music. As for my rating of this documentary, and it ends, they talk about how he died of prostate cancer, and at the end he's, conducting a symphony that he wrote again, and his eyes are closed and he's listening to it, and it kind of fades to black, and there's a message at the end about voting, which you should do, which you should just fucking vote. If you feel that strongly about some shit, you should vote about some shit. And that's what Frank Zappa said. And I like the ending, and I like the post-credit scene. I dug the whole thing, at least what I saw. It's about 95% of it. So I would definitely suggest going to see it. 15 might be a tad high for it, but if you're able to catch it, at your local art theater, and they usually don't run $15 anyway. If you're able to catch it at your local art theater for, say, $13, you can do that. That's fine. That's a fine afternoon that you spent, and then you can and then go see it with somebody else. Preferably somebody who disagrees with you philosophically on stuff, and you can have a discussion afterwards about that. And especially if there's somebody who doesn't want to argue or who doesn't want to discuss differences that they may have. That's a huge fucking thing in this culture. It really is, with a lot of younger people, a lot of SJW. I almost feel like it's a byproduct of the you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all bullshit. In that having a difference of opinion, now people want to shut you down. Now people don't want to talk at all. Now people, if you just, fucking don't like the Ghostbusters movie, blocked on Twitter, other shit, come up with, have some facts to back your statement, but they don't back the narrative that's being constructive, blocked, buzzword to shut you down, Nazi, you're a Nazi, That's dumb, and it doesn't get us anywhere. And I feel like if you watch this movie with somebody who disagree with philosophically on stuff, especially if they don't feel like if they're the blocking type, if they're of the blocking generation and they don't want to actually have a discussion, this might change their mind a bit. And I think that's a good thing. Pardon me, people, tell me what you think. Have you seen it? You should. Tell me what you think. What do you think of Frank Zappa? How about that? If you haven't seen it, are you planning on going to see it? Tell me what you think down there in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and those links in the description. I know they're tiny URLs, but they really are to Amazon, Groupon, and eBay. Don't believe me? Click them anyway and find out. Alright? Like, share, subscribe, hit those links on the way out. If you like something at the party, that ain't bad.
I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice place, with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn your back and I'm making sure my night's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.